So anyone can just call. You can text me at
You're going to have to hire me back, Ron.
305-490-1440. Well, I told Jason, I said, listen, Jay, I would love you to get here. You know, the show starts at 3. Try to get here by, I don't know, 2:50, maybe.
At least before the show, maybe.
At least, set your alarm a little bit earlier because we know you don't work.
It's a long night, Ron. It's a long night.
I tend to digress. But back to what we were talking about a little bit. One of the other things that I think a lot of are keying in, or a lot of the big mainstream corporations and the big companies have had SEO buried within their mega sites and have just started to realize and break it out and do a lot more with it. I mean, that was one of the things that I read earlier today. I mean, do you see that major corporations are doing that as well, or are they missing the boat?
Well, I think the major corporations are doing it. They've caught on to the trend, but it's the smaller businesses that are probably not doing it enough. And mostly it's like you had mentioned, they really don't know what to do or how to do it. But basically, SEO is not something that you do to your website after it's already built. I use this analogy sometimes, but a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. But if you start stepping in the wrong direction, that journey could be 2,000 miles or 10,000 miles. And it's the same thing when it comes to building a website. If your goal is to get to the first page of Google, you have to know where you're going. You have to know where how to get there before you even start. So from the inception of the idea, when you first start building your website, you want to make sure that it's coded properly, that you build it in WordPress, for example, and that you have original content. I mean, content is still king on the internet.
That's why people hire companies like you. I mean,
so let me ask something. Sure. What's the value proposition? Because the way I look at it from an advertising standpoint, most companies have advertising budgets, and frankly, nobody's really understanding what they're getting back. We as an organization, in one of our companies called National Auto Lenders, a little plug, we evaluate how every dollar is invested on the advertising side and what we get back. How do you do that on the SEO side?
Well, what's nice about anything involving computers is that there's lots of analytics, and we can tell you exactly where your customers are coming from, and whether it's your pay-per-clicks that are generating your leads or your organic results. We can tell you exactly where your clients are coming from, and that's called conversions.
And that's the big difference, I guess, between placing an ad in a publication where somebody may coincidentally, open up the publication and see your ad versus somebody actually going on the internet, doing a search on Google and looking for something. I mean, my wife...
they're hot leads.
Absolutely. My wife spends quite a bit of money on the internet, and when she wants something, she just goes to Google and she finds it.
Right. And if you don't appear, it's actually a credibility issue. If you don't appear on the first, page or high up on the first page even, then you're considered lesser or inferior anyway.
Well, what's the difference there between page 1 and page 2 of being on the internet? I always ask myself, if you're on page 1 in Google versus page 2 or 3, do you know what the multiple is between page 1 and 2?
Well, it varies based on the keyword or phrase that's being searched for, but just to give you a rough idea, it's around 30 times better to be on the first page than it is to be on the second page.
So it's 1,300% better to be on the first page than the second.
Sure.
So if I want to sell, let's say, I don't know, T-shirts with my picture on them, because I think they would be hot. So we would develop a whole website, around, the Ron Mann Show, let's say, and sell merchandise. And then how would we market that? How would we market that website on the internet so that people bought Ron Mann Show T-shirts where all the money went to me and not my co-host because he's not with the show anymore?
Okay, well, first of all, of course, you'd have projectseo.ws, build your website. We'd build it correctly from the start. We'd build it using WordPress. We'd make sure that it's all original content.
That's projectseo.ws.
Yeah, that
not
stands for...
not .com.
Correct.
I don't understand. I mean, I understand what it means, website.
Right. There's actually a whole new internet being developed.
But when you type on projectseo.com, you don't get to it. Don't you
Correct.
think you should sort of get to it that way too, or you want people to learn it's .ws?
Ron, we're projectseo.ws.
Okay.
If you want to find us,
work with him here. Work with him, Ron.
With the new internet, people don't know about the new internet yet. I mean, that's they don't know WS yet. I just think
Well, it's the internet unleashed. It's the free and open internet. It's international.
Okay.
Well, what's interesting is that I was reading an article
about
this.
It's new and it's trendy.
I was actually reading an article about this before we walked in, and they're calling this new internet like the elevators when they first got placed in buildings 100 years ago, and people didn't know about them. And buildings were only built based on how high people were willing to walk. In due time, the elevator became a norm course of business, and in fact changed the dynamic of the values of properties, where the highest value property was on the first floor, and then all of a sudden you had something called the penthouse, and buildings started getting taller and taller. The same paradigm shift that occurred in real estate due to that elevator is now occurring in the internet. And I just, that article was so fascinating to me, because in another company that we're involved in that deals more with consumers, we definitely need to be doing more SEO.
See, important. Listen, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're gonna dive a little bit more into what's happening in local politics. We'll talk a little bit about sports. I'll give some more crap to Steve about this WS thing, and we'll be back in about 3 minutes.
This is Dr. J. Hess, Artistic Director of the Hess Conservatory of Music, bringing you Did You Know? One of the great world figures of the 1900s was Gandhi. Gandhi, 1869 to 1948, led the movement against British rule in India, using a systematic program of nonviolent protest and refusal to support British policies. His techniques of passive resistance were later utilized by civil rights protesters in the United States and in other countries. In 1947, India was granted independence and divided into West and East Pakistan and India. Gandhi was assassinated in 1948 by a Hindu fanatic who opposed his desire to reconcile Hindus and Muslims. And now, you know.
911.
The roof is completely caved in on us. We need
These people were ordered to evacuate during Hurricane Ivan, but didn't.
I'm in wheelchairs and water's coming in. Can't respond right now because of the condition of the hurricane.
Evacuation orders are a serious matter. It means local officials think your life could be in danger. You need to listen to them. This hurricane season, get a plan. Go to floridadisaster.org and get your plan today.
This message is brought to you by the Florida Division of Emergency Management, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Hi, I'm Robert Henderson Jr., host of Understanding Money every Saturday mornings from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Join us live as we discuss all the financial maze about real estate, the stock market. If you want to know more about your 401k, why it's diving, join us live.
Hi, I'm Linda Harris. Join us. Things are changing rapidly. You're too busy doing what you need to do. Allow us to share with you what we do. Understanding Money.
Now, back to the man, Ron Mann, on 880 AM. The Biz.
Jason, comment how mellow I am. Are we live? Well, you're supposed to give me a countdown, Super Dave, until I'm live. You know, I gotta tell you, you know what? It's definitely always something with this show. But anyway, big week here in South Florida, Fashion Week. Is every week Fashion Week in this city? I don't understand. Every week I hear it seems to, huh?
Bank robbery week, is that going on this week?
let's did you hear about the bank robbery
Coral
today?
Gables, right?
It's because of the movie The Town.
In
They got an idea.
did you see that movie?
Great movie.
Great movie. I saw it last
movie.
week. Awesome movie, man. I dig that. Give me some great ideas. But yeah, so what they did was
That's why I was late.
It seems that they kidnapped the bank manager last night at midnight and held her overnight. I held him overnight or whatever, and then went there at 8:00 this morning. That's what's coming through on the internet.
Oh, nice.
I was just reading.
Nice, but,
get up an hour earlier, Jay, and you'll be able to read that stuff. So that's a
big news
big news. There's actually a lot of bank robberies in South Florida. South Florida sort of leads the country in we don't hear as much because, from what I've been told, the media is actually told not to advertise, not to really report on all of the sheer